Hello, audiophiles, and welcome to another episode of Guitar and Pen, a songwriter's notebook. I'm Mark Will, author, songwriter, and publisher in permanent exile, currently based on the island of Taiwan, but who knows for how long. I'm joined once again by my good friend Craig in Germany, where it's hot as hell. How are you today?
Greetings, Mark. Yes, indeed, it's a very hot, sweaty Dortmund I'm calling from tonight, but otherwise all good. Looking for some of that kind of vitamin D, that kind of melatonin that can make me a little more positive. It's a hard work, right? So I'll do my best, but yeah, trying to keep cool. Doing this helps.
All right. Well, are you ready to Re-Roxy again? Re-Roxy?
Is this the fourth one? So we're
This is the fourth, yeah. Yeah. Episode 4, the fourth Roxy music album, which is Country Life. Before we get into the slideshow, any initial thoughts or impressions you want to share?
I might save them more till the end, till we kind of recap things and, have a bit of hindsight on the first half of the band's career. One thing to note is just how incredibly prolific, that's easy for someone else to say, how incredibly prolific they were between this first 4 albums. It's something like 2.5 years or something ridiculous. I mean, it's quite something. But no, I enjoyed listening to the album. I enjoyed listening to the album. Some tracks definitely stand out more than others, but I'm sure we'll kind of chew the fat about that all in good time.
Well, that's a good point. After we finish with this 4th episode, we'll be halfway done because they've got 8 albums all together. Can you see?
We're not. I can. Yeah, we're not going greatest hits and all that guff, right? Or Bryan Ferry solo stuff. We're just
right.
We're just going 8 straight
studio albums. None of the live. None of the live stuff. Maybe for show notes, but not for full-on episodes. All right, so if you're watching, you can see the slideshow. Hopefully, Re-Roxy, Guitar and Pen, remakes, remodels, Roxy music. So we're going from street life to country life. Those of you that watched episode 3 should understand that allusion. Street Life is the opening track on the 3rd album, Stranded. And here we go with that iconic and somewhat controversial album cover. Often,
we've got to take the time or the year into consideration here as well. Like 1974, this was not the done thing.
True, yeah. And
are we desensitized to it now, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, are we kind of desensitized to this stuff now?
No, I think we've regressed because you'll often see this is censored on certain websites. We'll get to that in a moment, but first some basic facts about Country Life. It was released towards the end of 74. Says here on Wikipedia, that CIA controlled website that we so often rely on. The 15th of November 74. It's classified as art rock, clocks in at 41 minutes 25 seconds. And it's between Stranded, which was the 3rd album, and Siren, which is the next album. So they were averaging 1 album a year at this point. 2 singles, All I Want Is You and The Thrill of It All. This is what I was anticipating as the next slide. You'll see this kind of thing, like cover up those breastises and the other naughty bits. We can't have the youth or the...
It's funny. I don't think I've ever actually seen this before.
This is what
it's
pops
quite
up.
quirky. Yeah,
this is what pops up for me. If if you're just listening, we're looking at a censored version of the album cover with black dots in all the right places or wrong places.
All the places.
All the places of interest. So I saw a video, which I'll put in the show notes. It's Bryan Ferry talking about the album covers with, I think, the art photographer that maybe did all of them or most of them. And so he was saying, like, the idea was these two girls were out in the country at a party and they ran away from the estate for whatever reason. Maybe it's some kind of Epstein Island scenario, and then they get caught in the headlights in various states of undress, and that's the photograph, right? So you see these scantily clad, statuesque beauties out in the country. There's some foliage behind them. It says your device is struggling, but I see you now. You okay?
Oh, yeah. I'm just going to check something, but it's all right. All right. I'll leave it.
Okay. So, any comment on the artwork here, which we know is so important to the overall Roxy Music conception?
You know who the models are? That's what I was just going to look up because I can remember, but I wanted to get it right. You know, who the two models in question are. As
a matter of fact, it's these two ladies all those years later, apparently, if this is to be believed. This is what I found doing a Google search. So, do you have their names? I think one of them is the girlfriend of a guy in Cannes. Is that
correct,
right?
Yeah, and the other one is the sister of the
sister
frontman. So it's like the two girls who were hanging around with him and his crew. How they ended up in Portugal, I'm not too sure, but yeah, that's who I believe they were.
Oh, it was shot in Portugal. And they're German, aren't they? Or are they not?
Yeah. So they're credited with translating the German part of a song that we'll get to a bit later on. But that's what they're given credit. And I think they might be uncredited as models, but they're credited as translators or something along those lines.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Okay. Well, this I found also, if you're watching, you can see that they're fully clothed here, those two German models we're talking about. So I think this is an early version of the photo shoot, and they didn't use this one. They stripped them down, just like they hosed down the
point in some ways.
Right. Or maybe this came later. Maybe they put their clothes back on, just like they hosed down the model on Stranded. They asked these two models to strip. And I think this is the first time we've got two females, right? Rather than just one.
It's heading in a different direction in this albums to come, but yeah, I believe you're right. And of course, they're standing in front of a bush.
A bush.
I think apparently that's it. It's just a bush. And I don't mean that in a in a pun kind of way, but that's apparently that's what it was. It was just a kind of impromptu photo shoot in that way, or at least the backdrop of it.
Sometimes words have two meanings. Okay, well, because of the controversial nature of this cover, there were different versions out there. You can see that on the left here, it's just one of the sisters from basically the chest up without showing the interesting bits. Then there was just a black cover with a label on it. And then there's just the bush itself.
Which is just bonkers, isn't it? I mean, it's just like, all right, that's.
So
I mean,
cowardly.
The cover itself is a provocative piece of art if we look at it in context of the time, as I said earlier, in this kind of thing, and I'm pretty sure lots of young men of between certain ages or even a bit older bought this album on the premise of what they were going to get inside,
Thinking it was a stroke mag or something.
Well,
they were in the wrong
who
section.
knows where one thing leads to another, right? So,
Well, I found this in Hong Kong recently. I call it the Lost Roxy Music album cover, but I don't know. Is there some kind of influence or inspiration going on here? If you're watching, it's two young ladies also apparently out in the country enjoying a little picnic of sorts.
is it croissants or something, or tea or coffee or something going on there? I mean, it's quite quirky.
It's what it looks like, yeah. It was, an ad outside of a department store. I don't know what exactly they're selling. Maybe brassieres and ladies' underwear, but definitely looks like some kind of Roxy Music inspiration.
They're very pale, though. I mean, it looks like they've never seen the sun before,
Yeah, and they're a little bit too young, but I didn't put it there. I'm just documenting what I saw in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, complain to them. So this fucking guy, the King of England, how do you feel about him?
Going to look for my glasses. I don't know what I've done with them. Old guy glasses attack. Oh, fuck, they're over there. All right. What do I think of the King? Well, I don't really give a toss. I'm kind of like, it's a whole other podcast for another day. But less said, the better. I mean, there was a story. Was it last week? Yeah, God save indeed. Was it last week, the week before, how much he's paid in tax last year? And you're just like, yeah, right, okay, sure. You're welcome, so yeah. Not the biggest fan, it has to be said. Although there was an interesting pop group called King in the 80s. You should go Google them. They were worth a listen. They had a great song called Love and Pride with fantastic mullets and interesting outfits.
British
British, I think they were from Coventry or somewhere like that, but they had spectacular mullets.
King.
And the song was called Love and Pride. Oh, that was the big hit anyway.
King, not queen. Interesting. Well,
I'm not going to go there. Right, it's a whole other thing. But yeah, country life, and it's just this whole surreal thing that maybe a tiny percentage of the British population actually read. If anyone ever reads it, I mean, I have no idea. I don't even know where you buy it. Do you buy it? I mean, how does it? Does it just exist in Neverland?
I mean, I think it still exists. This has to be a fairly recent issue.
It's like Cosmo and all those other is it Rattler it's called? Or all that shit.
Vogue, Cosmopolitan, right. Yeah. Vanity Fair or whatever. Right. Yeah, it's a magazine, and this, it's pimping the country life to, I don't know, wannabe posh people in the UK and elsewhere.
Posh and wannabe posh. It's like that,
Yeah.
I mean, the headline is fantastic. The King's Garden, his splendid restoration of Sandringham. It's like he did it himself.
Yeah, sure he did.
I love that touch.
When he wasn't busy shape shifting into a lizard or whatever.
All I'm saying is Jimmy Savile. Go Google Jimmy Savile and King Charles.
Absolutely.
I rest my case.
Best buddies.
Yep.
So anyway, it is, if you're just listening, we're looking at the cover of an actual magazine called Country Life, and Bryan Ferry has, admitted, not that it was hard to figure out, but this was the inspiration for the album title. So I guess you could say like the album cover is an alternative magazine cover, which is kind of an interesting parody, I guess. But it's as always,
it's the rock and roll version of Country Life. It's like,
right.
Maybe that was the done thing in the late 60s and early 70s when rock stars, pop stars, whatever you want to categorize them with that. Keith Moon, Roger Daltrey, George Harrison, McCartney, they all had a big giant mansion in the country. That was the done thing.
Yes, true. But there's always a campiness and an element of parody. But at the same time, I suspect, as you say, not only those rock stars you mentioned, but Ferry himself is kind of wistfully thinking about his own country estate, which maybe at this time he already had. I don't know. You said something about Portugal. So, maybe he had a place there and in other spots as well. I don't know the details of that. Do you?
No. I think his wealth, or, due to the record sales and, all the things that go with it, come probably later on. I don't know how much they made of the first 4 albums, and it's hard. We could go down that rabbit hole, but I'm guessing a lot of it came accumulatively, and then probably with the solo stuff as well, then you really got into that kind of country life, the whole estates. And
speaking of country life, you didn't comment on my hat. I wore it especially for this episode.
Well, you're looking pretty dapper, man, I have to say.
This is the most country or cowboy.
The last one was red, wasn't it?
I had a red baseball cap.
Was it red or red? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, it looked orange on camera, dapper. But yeah, well, this is my. As long
as you don't have a cravat, man, you're fine, right? So we're all good.
Next time. I mean, this is, well, we'll explain why later. But anyway, country life. That's background on the whole concept and theme. Now here is a photograph of the band from the tour promo guide, or I don't know, tour brochure or whatever, that, followed the release of this album, Country Life. So you can see the band there in their current incarnation. Of course, no Bryan Eno. There they are live. What does that look like? Top of the Pops, Old Grey Whistle Test, something like that.
Take your pick.
Yeah.
The lighting probably gives it away for the time. Right? The lighting's 1974.
Yeah. I thought this was interesting. Jim Miller of Rolling Stone said, allegedly, Stranded and Country Life together marked the zenith of contemporary British art rock, or should I say zenith? How do the Scots pronounce that?
I'm a zenith kind of guy.
Zenith, okay. The Yank pronunciation is zenith. But anyway, it's the highest point, right? Not the nadir, but the peak, you could say. This is interesting that this particular journalist sees the 2 albums, the 3rd and the 4th Roxy Music albums, as companion pieces.
You're in my mind, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to think of them or listen to them, back to back. They're the 2 albums that were released immediately after the departure of Eno, and there's a through line connecting all of them, but I do see the 3rd and 4th, Stranded and Country Life, as being, bookends in a way.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But, as I said, for me at least, this is one man's opinion, Country Life gets the nod over Stranded, great as the latter also is. And you seconded that emotion.
Shame me with my spelling mistake. That's my spelling mistake.
Well, I didn't put that in here, but you agreed, yes.
I do, yeah.
I think for me, even though Stranded, the 3rd album, has those undeniable classics that we talked about last time, in particular Psalm and Mother of Pearl, that's just like as good as it gets. Overall, for me, track by track, Country Life is just slightly better. I mean, we're talking about degrees of excellence. They're both
Yeah.
great, but um, I have to admit, on Stranded, there are a couple that I might fast forward, but with Country Life, there's not a weak track.
I could skip a couple, I think. We'll
Okay,
get to
well,
that.
I love them all, and they're
I
10
can
this
I can
time
take
as
them or
opposed
leave it.
to
I was
8.
going to say we've moved from our 8 and a kind of longer tracks where we had maybe 8 or 9 minutes. I think a couple of them
Mm-hmm.
went to, now we're getting a more kind of compact 10 songs like you might find in a normal, as it were, traditional long player.
Yeah. Are they tightening things up? Are they becoming more formulaic? We can think about that as well. But overall, we agree that Country Life has the edge over Stranded, great as Stranded also is. All right, so who are we talking about here? At this point, of course, it's still Bryan Ferry's band, but as with the previous album, not all songs are written by him. And on the record, he's, of course, the main vocalist, plays some keyboards, and this time, the harmonica is prominently featured on at least a couple of tracks. Mackay is still Andrew, not Andy. Oboe and saxophone. These pictures, by the way, are from that tour brochure as well. There he is holding a brewski. Phil Manzanera is still the guitar virtuoso. Finally found another picture of Paul Thompson not
There's
wearing
not
that
many around, is it? Right?
not wearing that leopard skin vest or whatever.
Vest, yeah.
Still a fantastic drummer. And now he's not Eddie, but Edwin Jobson, apparently. Strings, synthesizer, and keyboards. Should have practiced that before we rolled tape. This is an interesting picture. Looks like an electric violin. So that's their
Apparently
boy wonder.
that was his thing, like that electric. I forget. I watched a clip the other day with him playing it. Maybe it was Out of the Blue,
Mm.
the live performance of it, and it's not the one from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like the one, I guess, 74 or whenever it was. I think it was from Midnight Special or something like that. The quality's really bad, but performance is fantastic.
Yeah. He's a virtuoso.
And he's got it plugged in. He's got this kind of curly cable, the what do you call it? The line going in, but it's that 70s kind
Right.
of curly version and all that. It looks quite nostalgic. But yeah, phenomenal playing on this record.
Yeah, unlike Eno, who called himself an anti-musician. So it's definitely a different vibe. I mean, is it better or is it just different? Do you have like an opinion about the Jobson Eno
I think it's better.
matchup?
I think it's better. I
Interesting.
think you're now getting into a sound where the guitar's obviously elevated to a more prominent part of the band, whereas Ferry's keyboards, piano style is probably taking more of a backseat to it, and his frontman aura is coming to he is the frontman of the band, not the guy that played piano and sang with the band and that kind of thing. And I think you're finding this balance now with our friend Edwin here. He's just like, yeah, he's taking it to the next level, I think.
Well, with this Re-Roxy revisitation of the complete discography as we go album by album, I mean, of the first 4, this might be my favorite. I know you have a special affection for Your Pleasure, and I do too, but I don't know, man. Country Life is hard to argue with. It's really fantastic from start to finish. So at this point, it'll be interesting to see how I feel about Siren, the 5th album, because I always said that was my favorite, but I don't know. Country Life is...
There's a certain kind of revisionism here, is it not? Recency bias, I'm thinking, all right? When you're kind of the thing that you've been listening to most kind of is stuck in your head, and you take it one way or the other, and there's a bit of that going on here as well. So it might be interesting.
That's possible.
When we do get to the end of this, we're like, I can't remember listening to the first half. I'm gonna have to go back and, work my way through it all again and kind of just remind myself of how wonderful some of this stuff is, or most of it actually so far.
Yeah.
No spoilers though, right?
All right, and so they're still hiring, a sideman to fill the bass slot. Once again, it's John Gustafsson, who
Swedish father, English mother, I believe.
Very competent, very tasteful.
Born in Liverpool. Was part of the Mersey Beats, because I was like, I don't know anything about this guy, and I did a quick, as we were mentioning earlier, our friend Wiki, and yeah, he was in the Mersey Beats. Who else was he in? A couple other kind of bands of that type at the time in the 60s, but phenomenal player. I mean, just his bass playing on this is superb. Really, really top notch.
Yeah, but interestingly, he's still just a guest artiste. He's not an official member. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know the story of why they didn't make any bass player permanent. Like, why did he not want that, or I don't know? They didn't want to share the profits.
Right? Maybe. Yeah. I mean,
hired
maybe
gun.
He's quite happy. Right? Maybe he's just quite happy making his certain cut here, but phenomenal bass player.
Very good. All right, and so no Chris Thomas. Remember, the first album was produced by the King Crimson alumnus. Then Chris Thomas worked with them on the next two. This time we've got John Punter behind the board, twiddling the knobs, and he previously had produced a certain Scottish band called Nazareth.
I think they're from Dunfermline, if I'm right, or run about there.
Were they ever important to you growing up, or
not? But I think everybody knows Love Hurts is their big song. I can't have got it. You put me on the spot now to name another one, but no, not really. They were kind of, you'd heard them, or you'd hear them at someone's brother's house. They were kind of around, but they weren't really on the radio, at least from what I remember at my time when growing up in the 80s and so on.
Hair of the Dog?
Hair of the Dog, thank you. Right, there we go. I knew there was one I was missing. But they were a kind of classic rock band, and I think they were big in that scene, the kind of slightly more scruffy end of the market, if you want to call it that. Or ballsy kind of end of the market.
Exactly. They're more straight ahead rock and roll, not really glam, so it's kind of interesting that they chose this guy.
Sabbath or Deep Purple or, things of that ilk. I don't mean musically, but, of that ilk.
Heavy. I mean, this guy did produce other bands, so maybe, I don't know, maybe it wasn't such a stretch for them to work with him, but you don't really think of Nazareth and Roxy music as being that closely related.
In some way, do you?
Not so much. No.
But it's interesting, the work of a producer here, right? Who's kind of quite versatile in, what they can bring to the party.
Can't argue with the results.
No.
All right. So how long was our intro? 28 minutes. Some of our friends on, what is it? Reddit. will complain about the long intro. There is a thing called fast forwarding. You can just slide the player over to the right, and then you skip all the parts you don't like and get right into the song by song, track by track analysis. So let's start side one. Let's put the disc on the turntable, or pop the cassette into the boombox, or press play on the CD. I was always a cassette man myself. How about you?
Vinyl, then CDs. Cassettes were definitely a big part of the thing. More, you either you recorded the tape, you taped a tape, or you were given a tape of something, or you taped the album of something. But I more or less bought vinyl, CDs, and then the odd kind of cassette. But I had a lot of cassettes back in the day.
you're crackling a little bit.
Might just be my
That
husky voice, Mark.
Well, that last bit was fragmentary as it came through to me, but let's see. All right, so here we go with the opening track called The Thrill of It All. First track, side one, another, I'm calling this a barn burner, if you know what I mean. Continuing with that Roxy tradition of strong, straight ahead, hard rocking, danceable tracks. I mean, it's a winning formula, and it works again. The thrill of it all.
This is your first place? Is that what you're giving it?
Well, I thought you said it's one of yours. You said it's a tie between this,
right? Or something like that. I think if I'm allowed one, but yeah, that's true.
Yeah, this is one of your top picks, and I can go along with it as well. There are actually 3 songs here that are in first place because of the plethora of outstanding tracks.
Separate them, right? I mean, it's bloody hard.
Yeah. Right,
but
you mentioned this as one of your 2 favorites, so
yeah, I think when if you
like barn burner, I think that's a good description.
If we think of that, taking the record out of the sleeve or the CD out of the box or the cassette indeed out of its smaller packet box and then putting it in, this is just a phenomenal opening track. It's a bit like an attack on the senses, you're just like boom, well here we go, where like strap yourself in and you get this nice kind of blend or nice mix of the verse and the chorus, like they kind of contrast each other, but they work really well. One's a bit more ballsier or rockier, and the chorus is a bit more melodic and that kind of. I think you've got backing vocals up here, right? So
yes. It took me the longest time to figure out what they were singing, and I'm still not sure. I think it's calling you, calling you, calling you, calling you. Is that right? Is that what they're singing?
Kind of sounds
those falsetto backing vocals. But interesting lyrics. Every word I use, each crumpled page. Strange ideas mature with age, like leaves when autumn falls, turn gold, then they hit the ground. Everywhere I look, I see your face. I hear your name. It's all over the place. Hey, girl, though you've gone, still I recall the thrill of it all. So it's kind of a breakup song, looking back
one
wistfully.
Night stand, who knows, it might be, Mark, right? Some
could be, yeah.
Lamenting on these things anyway, but it's an absolute belter of a song.
A slammer, yeah. It slaps, as the millennials say. There's also a Black Sabbath song with the same title, came out a year later on Sabotage, The Thrill of It All. So I wonder if there was some subconscious influence or, straight up plagiarism there. Old Geezer may have heard some Roxy music and said, that's a good title.
I can tell you, I made a couple of notes here. So I do have a few notes to share with everyone.
Let's hear them.
If that's all right. So continuing the trend of opening their albums with an absolute banger, The Thrill of It All is right up there with Virginia Plain, Do the Strand, and Street Life. It's an attack on the senses. Everything's competing for your attention. The rhythm section's in top form. Manzanera's guitar playing is really tasteful, accentuating the song when it needs to. More rockier, grittier tones, which is a nice mix. Ferry's vocals are on point. Sonically, it's got more disco vibes than I thought were possible for 1974. The strings in this track are superb. The whole band are getting quite good at this making records malarkey.
Indeed. There was some crackling that time too. Let's hope that River Shite smooths all that out. I caught most of that though. Yeah. As I said before, It's a winning formula, punch them in the face straight out of the gate. And then you can do whatever you want after that.
I think what we're finding here is... I think what we're finding here as well is you're getting this... what would we say when we're on album number 4? So you're getting this as a kind of the next variation of the band. And we might have seen kind of slight... but we're getting kind of musically, we're getting a real kind of contrast here as well, because I don't think there's been a song like this in the past 3 albums. At least I would say so. This is a kind of a somewhat newer sound to the band.
Interesting. See, I find this to be very similar to all of the previous opening tracks on the 3 albums, which would be Remake, Remodel, Do the Strand, Street Life. Well, that's not an opening track, is it? Virginia Plain. The opening track on the first album
I'm thinking singles.
Remake,
right?
Remodel.
So,
yeah, singles, right, sure. But I'm just thinking, like, in terms of album sequencing, it's always straight out of the gate, first track. Tracks
1 and 2 kind of play off one another.
Yeah, but the first track is a barn burner, It's like...
Here's your hit, if you want to call it.
Yeah. And it's simple, it's hooky. It might have some subtlety like this one does with the, I don't know, middle 8 or whatever, which repeats. I mean, there's kind of a bridge element which occurs twice, I guess. But it's full throttle for the most part. And then with the second track, things take a turn. And so we arrive at 3 and 9. And if someone can explain to me what the hell this song means, I would greatly appreciate it. There's some kind of weird Ferry-esque Roxy numerology going on. What's the significance of 3 and 9?
It was something to do with pre-decimalization from what I read. So I think decimalization came in the early 70s in the UK. So they went from, well, it's even older than me, right? So I don't remember. But of course, now we're into pounds and pence. And I think before it was shillings and pounds, maybe before. It was before my time, right?
Pounds, shillings, and pence.
Pounds and shillings and pence, right? And I think this is what this is referring to from what I've read anyway. It's this 3 threepence and 9 pence. Yeah, it was...
it
was something like this.
So it's an economic commentary or a monetary commentary.
Threepence halfpenny, or I don't know exactly, but it's something.
This is interesting. It just came up in the last episode GJV and I recorded on Ulysses, episode 8, Lestragonians. There's this phrase LSD, right? And when you see that, it's like, what? LSD? But it's pounds, shillings, pence. They're using, those are abbreviations for Latin terms for each of those: pounds, shillings, pence. So I guess there's a connection here with the 3 and 9. I did not know that. Well, anyway, the lyrics say 3 and 9 could show you any fantasy. Okay. 3 and 9 to 45, decimal romance. There's your pre-decimal reference. If you've warmed to centigrade, you stand a sporting chance. So maybe it's going metric, going decimal. Okay.
It was the whole European, no, what was it called back then? The common market? I think it was called back in the 70s.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
With their butter mountains and their wine lakes and all that stuff that we were told existed.
Should we play safe now or go all the way? 6 and 2 threes now. More I cannot say. Again, I'm not really following it. 3 and 9 make 12. I've a dozen reasons. lying on the shelf. Maybe he's talking about his money. But anyway, musically, this is a nice track. Andrew Mackay gets a writing credit. There's some nice... Is there oboe in this as well as sax? I think maybe so.
Sounds a bit oboe-ish.
Yeah.
I think maybe the intro.
Yeah.
That sounds a bit like it.
I like it. And the harmonica makes its first appearance on this record.
In a song you might not imagine it fitting in there or being the instrument of choice, but I can tell you what I thought, Mark.
Let's hear it.
We might have something to talk about at the end of this. So 3 and 9. The intro sounds a bit... I should caveat this by saying these are just the thoughts I had. Maybe when I first heard it, and then I went back and kind of changed some of the notes or added to it. But this is really kind of how I feel about the song. The 3 and 9. The intro sounds a bit like a theme for a sitcom. I can't get into it. That is until we get to the break at the end, the vocals arrive and we're back in business. I like the instrumentation and how its laid-back, simple structure help move the song along. Ferry's harmonica playing really stands out. It also adds to the European sound of the track, I think. I read about the backstory to this tune, and to be honest, I think that really helped me get into this song. It's definitely grown on me over time.
Yeah, it's that second Roxy track formula, I guess you could say. Like there's always, after the initial punch in the face, there's a left
something
turn,
a bit more mellow,
I don't know,
a bit, a little
abstract. The energy level drops somewhat, but in an interesting and quirky way. I think this, as a number 2 track, is more successful than the one on Stranded. Although I like, that's the Quicksilver Baby. That's actually a good one. Maybe it's better than...
It's not better than Beauty Queen.
The second track. Which is on the first or the second? Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Beauty Queen's on the second one.
Right, and so on the first it was Ladytron, right? Which is also pretty solid. Yeah, hard to say.
Right. We're splitting hairs here. Right?
Anyway,
I don't know. This song
anyway,
was kind of...
I liked it.
Oh, go on, please. Yeah, I grew into it. When I first heard it and started listening to it again, the intro just really bugged me. I was like, this just gets on my nerves. As I said, it reminded me of just cheesy sitcoms from the UK in the 70s, and that type of jarringly annoying middle class scenario that they were going to paint for you, like whoops Vicar, I've dropped my trousers, and all this kind of scenario that went on at the time. And I was just like, all right. And then I kind of persevered and kind of worked my way through it, and I was like, oh, it's a good song. It's maybe not my favourite, but it's not terrible. I don't mean that as a low bar kind of thing, but I got into it gradually. I like the playing on it. The playing on it I like.
Yeah, well, I like the vocal melody and performance. I mean, lyrically,
there's a lot to
again,
take from it.
I don't know what he's on about, but maybe further
Apparently he was
research
taking
would help
inspiration
me
maybe
that.
from Ray Davis or Dave Davis or something like that, talking about these particular things at that particular time, or London of a certain era,
I did see that on Wikipedia. Yeah, it's
I didn't really follow up, but I kind of came across it.
A Kinks kind of inspiration, specifically, British, maybe not so much for the American audience. But musically, I like it. And I think I did from the very beginning, despite the somewhat cheesy sitcom intro. That didn't bother me so much. But once he starts singing, I'm with him,
Right.
So anyway, moving on to track 3. Now this is potentially my number 1 or tied for number 1. It is one of the singles. After all I Want Is You. In my headphones, it's really loud. It's like louder than the other tracks. I don't know if you noticed that. At least in the beginning, it's really blaring, which is, a good thing. Another barn burner. Phil Manzanera gets a songwriting credit on this. There's some great guitar. I love the backing vocals at the end. They wait for like the last go round to start singing that all I want. It adds so much to it. And lyrically, it's top notch. Don't want to know about one night stands, cut price souvenirs. All I want is the real thing and a night that lasts for years. Fantastic. Don't want to learn about etiquette from glossy magazines, he later says. Well then, why are you reading Country Life?
Country Life. Don't know, maybe he found it in a doctor's office or somewhere. He was waiting to get his, I don't know.
Yeah.
His teeth done somewhere, and he found it came
while
across
you're
it.
Waiting for the dentist to see you get your teeth cleaned. But
I have some very short
what do
notes
you
on
have
this
for
one.
us? Yeah.
All I Want Is You, not to be confused by the song from U2 of the same name. This has definitely got more of a glam vibe to it, quite reflective of the charts of the time. At least I think so. I think this is a great example of the band and or Ferry showing us their pop sensibilities. The intro reminds me of Jennifer Juniper for some unknown reason, just like the first few bars of it, the Donovan song.
Donovan?
But
I know that.
Yeah, but then it goes a completely different direction. But this is a great song. Yeah. But I kept the notes kind of nice and short and on point in this one, I think.
That's from the
your
Hurdy-Gurdy Man
Hurdy-Gurdy
LP.
Man and all that, yeah.
And I believe the Jennifer in question is the sister of Patty Boyd. I think that's
not too sure, but
who the song
Donovan
is
I do
about.
know is born in Glasgow, so yeah.
There you go.
Fellow countryman.
It's the season of the witch. All right, so track number 4 is another one of your top choices, Out of the Blue. And I've got a picture here of John Taylor of Duran Duran, because I think you mentioned how you may have heard some kind of something that would have influenced him. I'll let you
I went down a bit of a
Duran
rabbit hole one night this week. I forget what night it was, but I must have listened to not their more recent stuff, or however past that is, but they kind of say the first 3 albums before they went like Hollywood and all that, the Union of the Snake and all that,
Girls on Film,
that's that kind of era, like Rio, and even the first album I think is just called Duran Duran. Maybe the first 3 albums were definitely a bit more rocking when you get into it, but before they went like James Bond, what was it they did? A View to a Kill and all that stuff is just like nonsense.
A View to a Kill, yeah. I kind of liked that at the time. I mean, that's a guilty pleasure.
Right, I mean, it's not a terrible... It's interesting. I remember watching one of these random things you get on YouTube, but it was Simon Le Bon and maybe one of the other guys were being interviewed, and they were talking about the James Bond. How did that come about? And apparently, they were like the hot shit at the time. So John Barry, I believe, was the composer who did all the Bond stuff, or the soundtrack work and all that. So they basically, record company kind of got together and they said, all right, you've got like a day to come up with a song. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to record it like the day after tomorrow. They're like, oh, you got any ideas? They're like, oh yeah, right, sure, we could, we'll get loads of ideas. And then it was kind of, they hammered it out pretty damn quick, because John Barry just worked that way. He was kind of, I don't know, he could churn it out, I believe, as the saying goes. But yeah, kind of fun story to hear about how these songs come about, and a bit of trial and error. And it's not a bad Bond theme, actually, View to a Kill.
As I say, I liked it at the time.
It's very 80s.
Oh, totally.
It's a song of the times.
And then they went to the Eiffel Tower to film the video, I guess.
You've got that kind of, is it reverb on the drums? I don't know what it is, but they've got that it's that drum sound where you're hitting the drum, but it's coming back at you. Kind of that. There's loads of that in the Duran back catalogue. Podcast for another day, as we were saying. Mark, tell us about the effects or what you feel about the song's tempo. Or
Well, there's some kind of phaser, especially on the drums, giving it that whooshing sound, which I think works for this particular song. And then, there's, when you get to the chorus, there's a tempo change, right? Like somewhat unexpected. But I thought you were going to comment on the John Taylor-esque bass line, which is quite... I mean, the bass is what makes this song, isn't it? I mean,
absolutely, yeah.
There's really a unique... I don't think we've heard something this busy.
It's ahead of its time. It's ahead of its time. I think in many ways, Roxy Music songs were ahead of the time, and this is a perfect example. The bass playing on this is just, I mean, now you hear that kind of funk,
it's
maybe
funky
slap kind of pattern to it, and it adds a kind of different dynamic to the song. But in 1974, bass lines were not played like this, right? Or at least I think that. I mean, obviously don't know about all the songs ever, but this is very distinctive.
Yeah. Can you think of a Duran Duran song that has a similar bass line, or one that might be inspired by it? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
man, I went down that rabbit hole the other night, and I was kind of like, it's like, all right, damn it, I'll give in and I'll Google it, and it said, The Chauffeur. So I listened to The Chauffeur, which is from the Re album. The Chauffeur is actually about taking the night bus home in Birmingham, right? That's what The Chauffeur is, right? Referred to in the song. But I think I knew that anyway before Googling it, as you do in a very nerdy kind of way. So I had to listen to... I couldn't put it on one song, but I can hear definite parts of that sound throughout different Duran Duran songs. You could tell John Taylor was very into what he was hearing there, and even the way he plays.
Maybe Rio itself, the title track, that has a pretty interesting bass line, as I recall.
Yeah. I mean, they did that keyboard thing when no one really was kind of... There were a lot of keyboard bands about at that time, but Duran Duran did it a bit differently, I always felt. Their keyboard sound was a bit... It gave them an edge, I would say. Not in a rocky way, just gave them an edge, a sonic edge, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe that was an Eno-inspired thing from them. It gave them a bit more of an ambient sound to the songs.
Well, it's definitely... It represents a kind of sonic departure. We haven't heard anything quite like this. I'm very curious about how they worked this up in the studio. Like, I don't imagine Ferry, when he presented, I mean, he wrote it by himself. I don't imagine he had like a bass line in mind. Maybe he did, but this seems like, to me, it was probably the invention of Gustafson, right? Or not. I mean, am I wrong? What do you think? I mean, do you think Ferry came in and said, hey, this is what I'm hearing, you should try something like this? Or was it more general, like, play something busy to fill in the space here? Because really, the bass makes this song.
Yeah. I mean, it could come from many of these things where you just have the seed or the germ of an idea, and then it kind of elevates or it escalates or it grows. And the next thing you know, you can work something around that groove you've been working on, or you might be sitting in the rehearsal room and you're just sitting playing the same, that little riff thing you've been working on, and some guy's like, oh, what's that you're playing? Play that bit again, right? Or see, and this feels quite normal, like the way songs are kind of done. The what was it saying? Like the kind of the basis of the idea is quite simple, and then it might have they just kind of worked around the structure of the song from there, perhaps.
It may have evolved. I mean, it probably did evolve from a jam. And I say the bass makes this song. We have to admit that the drums are pretty important too, obviously, right? Like the drums and bass are locked in.
I think I
very
read
tastefully.
an NME. Exactly, yeah. Hard to disagree there. I think I read a review from the NME 1974 about this album, and it said something like that Taylor and Gustafson are arguably the best rhythm bassist drummer combo of that time. You know, they were writing in 1974, but that's what I was saying. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what they were.
Thompson and Gustafson.
Thompson, excuse me,
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. They're locked in. I thought this was interesting. Throwaway lines often ring true. That's a nice throwaway line.
Right. If you get one to spare. Right.
Yeah. And then pale blue eyes gazing down from your ivory tower through the haze, all broken and bruised. Pale blue eyes, of course, reminds us of the Velvet Underground song, so I'm sure that was a deliberate reference. A little Easter egg.
I can give you a little more of what I've got here, man. I don't think we've mentioned
please.
one or two things, but I'll let you go. So, Out of the Blue, a standout track. You can really hear the influences of what the kids of that time were listening to back then. Looking at You, New Romantics, Duran Duran, Human League, ABC, and Disco Kings, Chic, to name but a few. The rhythm section are let loose to do their thing in this track. The phaser flanger, I wasn't sure what it was, guitar effects are set to warp factor 10, adding more conventional effects rather than using Eno's knob-twiddling wizardry to help elevate things. Jobson's playing on Out of the Blue is quite brilliant, inventive, galloping, rip-roaring, flying high. This song sounds so good on headphones, right? So there we go, that's my last line. Not that I'm laughing at my own work, but I just reread that read it out loud. Because I guess I was listening to headphones when I wrote it, so there you go, you're getting it real.
Yeah, technically speaking, I'm not sure myself whether it's a phaser or a flanger, but there's some kind of
it's something
effect.
Of that ilk, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. All right, for whatever reason, every time you read your commentary, it starts to crackle. I don't know why.
Shall I do it again?
No, I mean, we just have to hope that Rivershite cleans everything up. All right, so the last track on side A or side 1 is If It Takes All Night, and this is very appropriate and a track that fits well on an album called Country Life, because this definitely has a country honky-tonk kind of feel. Again, the harmonica appears, and this is a pretty great intro lyrically. Oh, here it comes, that old ennui. He's got a, even with a country honky-tonk song, he still has to have this European continental kind of affectation.
This is art rock, you know.
I hope it won't stay long. Yeah.
Sorry, talk over you.
Well, it's every man to his own thing and every singer to his song. That's pretty nice. And then later he says, so if music be my mistress, then at least she's Madame Claude, who I looked her up. She's a French brothel keeper, so all right.
Nice.
I wonder what's taken all night. Yeah.
Well.
But this is just a nice, this is not really their genre, but I like their take on it. Yeah.
I just had a few things written down.
It's effective. The band sounds good. Let's hear it.
It's also a bit different. I can't really remember a song sounding quite like this, that kind of blues shuffle kind of thing going on. What do we got? If It Takes All Night, again another track that probably reflects what was going on in the charts in the UK, at least at the time. It's a blues shuffle groove with a bit of Dr. John style piano vibes thrown into the mix. Mackay's sax playing is what I'd call a bit more conventional or traditional here, and not in a bad way.
Yeah, I was gonna say the sax. I mean, there's some slide guitar from Manzanera, and then the sax is, you don't really expect that with a honky tonk song, but it's not a honky tonk song. It's
Right.
Roxy music
Yeah.
honky tonk. So you're gonna get some, maybe unexpected instrumentation. They're gonna make it their own, and overall, I think it's successful.
The way it sounded to me, or the way I interpreted it, was like if I was going into a bar and there was a sax player playing with a band, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be disappointed, but I wouldn't be surprised to hear that being played of that type of tune.
Okay, so that concludes side A. Let's go to side B. I'm now thinking I should call these side 1 and 2, but whatever, too late now. So we flip over the tape in my case, or the record in Craig's case, or just let the CD continue to play. First track on side 2 is called Bittersweet, and if you're watching the slideshow, you can see cabaret writ large. This definitely sounds like a German. I mean, there actually is German in it, right? But as you say, the sisters helped with the translation there, but that's pretty interesting. Nein, das ist nicht das Ende der Welt. No, it's not the end of the world. And then look at this. Gestrandet in Leben und Kunst. Stranded in life and art. Wow. Talking about those callbacks and the through lines connecting all the albums. I mean, it's just amazing the way Ferry does this. At this point, it's not amazing. We expect it, but I love this. It's like one continuous story. You've got to listen to everything in succession because it's all connected, and you're getting like installments or episodes in one big Roxy Music novel or something. Gestrandet in Leben und Kunst. What a clever thing to include. And then also, what are they saying? They're stranded in life and art. Like, are they stuck, or is this the way to get unstuck? So many possibilities
if
there.
we're looking at your slide here, or if our viewers are checking the video, you'll see cabaret that Matt's put up there, and I think there might be a link to that, the life of a cabaret artist, or I'm not sure what they were called. Let's call them cabaret artists. But there might be that kind of thing, because I found out that Bryan Ferry was in an episode of Babylon Berlin. Was it Berlin Babylon? I haven't actually seen this show, but I've been told it's very good. And I think he was in season 1, episode 4, if my memory serves me rightly. And there's a clip on YouTube. I think I'll send it to you, where he's performing. But weirdly enough, it's dubbed into Italian, right? Not even in German, so it's kind of hilarious. So he's singing in English and German, but I don't know. I guess they took it from the Italian version of the show, so it was quite funny when they were.
Is it this track? Is he doing Bittersweet or something else?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
And he also did an album of Bittersweet era cabaret inspired. I think it was 2018 it came out.
Okay, interesting. I mean, this just sounds to me like a Bertolt Brecht, Kurt Weill song. Like,
you've been copying my notes, man.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew Mackay gets a credit, and the opening stanza, I guess, is worth reading. Well, this is such a sad affair. I've opened up my heart oh so many times, but now it's closed. Sad, bittersweet, very appropriate. But yeah, let's hear what you've got in your Brechtian notes.
Right, I'll do my best to live out. That might be a bit hard to live up to. I'll give my best shot. Bittersweet. Maybe this is the companion piece or sister song to a Song for Europe from Stranded from the last album.
Yes.
And it's another remarkable piece of songwriting and performance. part confession and part homage to the cabarets of Weimar, Germany. I read somewhere that these were the types of songs that Bryan Ferry was made to sing, and they're probably right. There are two very distinctive personas that Ferry's playing here, the jilted lover and the cabaret performer, and the song reflects that in equal measure. Bertolt Brecht, Kurt Weill, and Hans Eisler may have had an influence on Ferry. The Threepenny Opera, and the Threepenny Opera, that's what I kind of ended it. And there was a little bit about the German text, but
I think I told you I just saw a production of that here in Taipei.
Yeah.
Threepenny Opera or Threepenny Opera. Drei Groschen Oper. It just the influence there is undeniable. Like it could fit into that, Mac the Knife type songwriting style.
I did actually do the full line, so it's not the end of the world, stranded between life and art, and the game goes on, as we know, many more wonderful reunions to come. That's the full German and English part.
So the sisters, what are we to assume? Ferry had the lyrics written out in English, and he asked the sisters to help him translate it, and then he sang that.
Sounds reasonable enough, doesn't it?
Take off your clothes, let us photograph you, then go over here and translate
we'll
these
make you really famous.
German.
No one will know who you are, though, right? That's the kind of the other side of it. But yeah, this is a wonderful song. It's incredibly complex and delicate and very kind of
dramatic.
Fragile and all that. Yeah, dramatic. It's just full of... If we compare it to the opening side of track one, it's kind of... I use in your face in a good way with the opening track of the album. As we mentioned before, the barn burner and all of that. You're getting this really bittersweet moment now when you turn the record over, and this is the first song on side 2 of it, and you're just like, when you listen to the lyrics, I think, or if you're reading the lyrics as well, it really, you get more out of this song, I think, in that piece. I mean, you don't need to do it every time, but when you do it, it's quite something. I prefer this to Song for You.
Made for the music hall, that's what I wanted to say.
Sure.
I think I might have to agree, yeah. All right, then we come to the second track, which is called Triptych. So again, we've got the numerology of 3. We've got either a real harpsichord, or maybe that's Jobson using a harpsichord sound on his synthesizer. Of course, it's apparently a lyrical description of an actual triptych, which is a 3-part painting, usually on a religious theme. And in this case, it's the crucifixion that's depicted here. And lyrically, that's what's described too. So here we have another connection to Psalm, right? We talked about about Ferry's religiosity, whether real or affected. I mean, it's campy and sincere at the same time, we might say. And the backing vocals on this are incredible. Nailed upon a wooden frame, twisted yet unbroken. Now the tide is turning to otherworldly yearning. Though the sun's eclipse seems final, surely he will rise again. The sun, S-U-N, but also S-O-N, question mark, maybe. I mean, as I was listening, since this is triptych, it's like, okay, there must be 3 parts, right? 3 distinct parts. I guess there are. There's the harpsichord, and then I guess there are 2 vocal parts, so maybe there are 3 sections, and musically it's a triptych too. But when I first heard it, I'm like, not sure about this. But I found myself humming it like throughout the day or throughout the last few weeks, and I love this now. Like, it's really infectious, It's an amazing, unusual art rock song.
I definitely go with the unusual in that sense. I mean, I have a different, or the song feels very different to me. So I'll tell you what I think, and we might have a disagreement here. The triptych, a very odd number. Is it a bold inclusion? Question mark. To really push the musical boundaries, or is it self-indulgent prog art rock? The flutes, the harpsichords, and chamber music vibe doesn't really do much for me, if I'm being honest. Experimental, sure. Any good? I'll leave it up to you. Although I didn't mention the lyrics here, but I think, lyrically, it's up there. Musically, less so for me.
Okay. I would say, I mean, if we're relating it to Psalm, of course it doesn't reach those levels of sublimity, but I like their attempt to, I don't know, have an Elizabethan kind of song. It's kind of like the Stones with Lady Jane.
Yeah.
That Stones song.
Oh, that's
just
kind of a chamber very, music
yeah,
to, if I can remember.
Very, very British.
Or even Ruby Tuesday has the kind of, is it harpsichord at the beginning of that, or something?
That's a mellotron.
Mellotron, perhaps. But, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't know. Maybe if you listen to it several more times, it'll.
I haven't found myself humming it, Mark.
Me.
I'll be honest with you. Right, so I'm kind of I've not got the bug for this one, man. Not musically.
Fair enough. I would just say, like, out of the blue, this is one of those completely new experiments that works well on.
If you're going to be called
album.
An art rock band, this is the type of song I think you would find on an art rock band album.
You gotta have at least one track like that.
Right.
All right. So moving on to track 3, we have Casanova, which a couple of years later would be the name of a Fellini film. I've included the movie poster here. I think the Roxy song came first. I think I have the dates right. Fellini's film came later. Of course,
featuring Tom Shag or Donald Sutherland. Right?
It's Donald Sutherland. I think they dubbed in his voice. I've seen this movie. It's not one of Fellini's best, but it's interesting. I mean, Fellini too, but Casanova's the great lover, right? The I don't know, Bluebeard or whatever.
Shagger extraordinaire.
Yeah.
A bit of a chancer as well, we might say.
Yeah. Well, and so an ironic view of that historical character is presented here. Now my finger points at you, another loser. So at one point, Ferry sings, is this where you're from? In other words, Casanova, again, like with Amazona, Casanova. Is it a place? Is it a person? It's not clear. Is it a male or female? Now that we think about it, I mean, the historical Casanova is a man, but is that what he's talking about here?
Yeah.
And then the great line near the end, now you're flirting with heroin, or is it cocaine?
As you do. Is this not the song that kind of early on it talks about having good manners? What song is that from? Is it from?
I don't know.
No, it's maybe not. It's maybe from the second last track. I think it might be. Sorry,
okay.
I'm getting my jumping ahead of myself here.
Well, I've got a picture of Bootsy here because this is the funkiest bass line on the entire record, I would say, even more so than Out of the Blue. This is just a great groove. There's some fantastic, sounds to me like Hammond organ. Maybe it's the synth with that setting, but this is, I mean, lyrically, it's not overwhelming or, earth-shattering, but it's a great jam, I think. Very nice third track on side two or side B.
Mm. I
But
mean,
what
for
do you have
me,
to say about it?
I love the groovy, swampy feel to this song. Manzanera's
Mm.
left to play a bit more spontaneous jam-like guitar, but it sounds great. The song itself, musically, sounds like it comes from a jam, and they've kept the bare bones of that and worked around it. It also sounds like a fun song to play.
Mm.
Who is the Casanova? The title, drug references, and then I've got hedonistic 70s dot dot dot. So, as I was just kind of going over the notes again at the end there, I thought this is an interesting song. And who is the Casanova of the title?
Well, are you asking rhetorically, or I mean, we don't know, right? Is it a
Oh no, yeah, I'm
person?
just
Is it a
asking.
place?
I don't know. I'm just exactly like you were. I'm
Uh,
kind of who is the Casanova
well,
of the
I
title?
I immediately, well, not immediately, just now I thought of Amazona, right? Like, is
Hmm.
Amazona a name of a female or a place, right? It says a zone. So again, I can't remember the exact line. Maybe I'll put that in the show notes. But it's something like, "Is that your name, or is that where you're from, or something like that?" So again, people, male or female, taking on, the characteristics of their place of origin or whatever place they're in at the time. And actually, that happens later as well. But let's move on to track number 4, called A Really Good Time. This also, to me, is a fantastic
Here we
tune,
go.
new and interesting. Do you know what I mean by the bum bum
Yeah,
bum?
yeah.
It's almost like
Mm.
I mean, it's strings doing that, and the other instruments too. But it had that uh, little interlude with the strings and the rest of the band. It has the effect of a riff. It's so
Yeah,
heavy.
it's got a wonderful
Like, you
dynamic
don't.
to it.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't occur every time you expect it to or necessarily want it to, but when it hits, man, it hits hard. Bum
Mm.
bum bum. It's fantastic musically and lyrically. I don't talk much except to myself because I've not much to say, and there's nobody else who's ready and willing and able to know me. I guess it's a great stanza. You're well educated with no common sense. Was that what you were
Yeah,
thinking
right.
about?
I could. Yeah, I just got my tracks mixed up there, but that's it as well. It's a very kind of
Okay, so I
story.
did I
The
did
way he's
include
the way he
that.
sings this. Yeah, yeah. Good call. This is very much like Brian Ferry telling a story, or the role of the piano player in the bar, reminiscing about certain things or certain people, and it reminds me of that, and very kind of it also does sound a bit soundtrackish as well. This song, like it would work as
Mm,
a
that
I
could
don't
be a
know
Bond theme. Bum bum bum.
right, and
Wasn't there
a
a
really
song
good
on
time.
Stranded? Wasn't there a song on Stranded that had a similar reference? Like, you've been to Harvard and Yale, but that's not how you succeed in the world. You know what I'm talking about? There was
Yeah,
it
we'll probably have to go
wasn't
back
Street
and
Life,
check that
was
one
it?
out. No,
Yeah, there's a song. I think there's
it'll
a
be in
song
our
on
notes
Stranded.
here. Yeah,
Yeah. Mm.
but this is another one about who is it about? Who they had a really good time together. Uh, you're well educated. We'll go back to that country life thing again. In a way, it could be Brian Ferry. He's well educated,
Mm.
as is Phil Manzanera, who went to like fucking Eton or whatever it was, or Dar, whatever college it was. Anyway, posh school, but with no common sense. So I mean, who knows the hoi polloi of the crowd that they were in with at that time, or to use the in crowd, right? Whoever it was they were in and around with, it could have just been all these toffs who were
Mm.
just complete muppets, They still are.
So what
Uh,
do your notes say on this one?
A really good time, a mid-tempo ballad with the slightest hint of a groove to it. It's secret sauce. It's incredibly catchy, but not with what I'd describe as a standout hook or harmony, for example. You know, in the traditional sense. Ferry sings once again like he really, really means it. Lyrically brilliant.
Yep, solid track. And that leads us to the last song on the album, called Prairie Rose. Again, very country. In fact, it's so country that he's referencing Texas, of all places. I mean, have you ever heard the song The Yellow Rose of Texas? Mm-hmm. That's a famous tune that we grew up with in the Lone Star Hate. And again, notice the hat. Do you see who's in the photo here?
Not without my old man glasses. Right, you have to help me out.
Well, this is David Byrne from True Stories, which is also set in Texas. It's kind of like an outsider's over romanticization of the place that I originate from, and I do not have a romantic view of the place as these outsiders do. So it's interesting for me to see or to hear, you know, how people think of it. Other views of it. Ferry says, "I will." Right? Yeah. Completely unrealistic, but that's fine. "I will compose in fancy rhyme or just plain prose a song of praise to you, Prairie Rose." And then, of course, the backing vocals are singing, or actually just saying Texas, Texas over and over, until we get to the end and you've got, it's almost like a soccer anthem, you know, Prairie Rose. Chant. Yeah, that's really fantastic conclusion. And as we'll see in the next album, they do something similar with what's the last song on Siren? Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting now. But anyway,
we'll get to that next time.
The chorus, sure. The chorus repeats. The chorus repeats. The refrain repeats over and over again, and it's just a rollicking, you know, almost operatic, as I say, soccer anthem chorus. Just a great
bit of a rip-roaring chant.
Yeah, and it just fades out. Phil Manzanera gets another credit here. Some people think this is. Well, I was just going to say, some people think this is, you know, his serenade or tribute to Jerry Hall, but actually he wrote it before he met her, if Wikipedia is to be believed. So that's
you read my
kind
mind,
of an interesting coincidence.
Of course, who went on to become Mrs. Mick Jagger and Mrs. Rupert Murdoch. What a fine-tasted man she has. Yeah. What can I say? Well, Mick Jagger, obviously, but, you know, anyway.
The word gold digger comes to mind.
Right? She started well and then just lost the plot, you know. But yeah, more of that to come in future episodes, I'm sure. What did I think of this song? Let me get my notes up here. Great bass and intro. Almost forgot to give Johnny a shout out, but actually we've done that in the last few songs, but I guess that was me making a note to myself to reflect on the bass playing in the rest of the album as well. It's got that huge driving groove to it. Not sure if that's a Texas thing or not. When the song hits the 4-minute mark, we get that 1974, as I called it, chart sound. Again, we switch to the floor tom, repeat Prairie Rose, as you mentioned there earlier, and a kind of ad-lib to fade. It's a good song to close out the album with.
Yeah, it's a great closing track. And the name of the one on Siren, let me just check here. My mouse never works well when I'm recording. Just Another High, of course. Just Another High. Just Another High. So that, again, fantastic background vocals. I think maybe they're starting to use them more and more. Like they're discovering these vocal harmonies and these really subtle, interesting backing vocal parts.
The first
and
three albums is definitely
everyone sing along.
Absolutely. Sorry to interrupt you. Definitely the first three albums are more the Bryan Ferry albums, aren't they? They're kind of not just from a songwriting musical point of view, but from the vocals primarily.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Or all him, actually.
All right, so we finished the album. Lessons learned. Well, I would say this: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They, as you say, know very well. They know their way around the studio. They know how to make records, and they're just doing it at a very high level of excellence. So carry on, fellas. Of course, this particular meme is written in such a way that you could also read it as, if it ain't okay, fix it. Yeah, so if there is a problem, fix it. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And again, that idea of writing, a record is a chapter in a novel. So as Elvis Costello said, every day I write the book. I think he may have been inspired by Bryan Ferry, and before that, Bob Dylan, who of course also inspired Ferry, as did Lou Reed and others, literary type songwriters. Later, Morrissey is writing his own book, so I think that's very important. Don't forget to subscribe to Substack, Mark Will Write, WRITE.substack.com. This is playing on YouTube at Mark Will Write, WRITE. Let me close out of this, and we'll just focus on our ugly mugs again, or at least my ugly mug with my country life cowboy hat.
I did have some final thoughts if you want me to
please
elaborate on them. We get to the halfway point in a remarkably prolific career. 4 outstanding albums, incredibly diverse musically, masterly crafted lyrics, and some wonderful musicianship to top it all off. All of this in the space of roughly 2.5 years or so. It's one thing to pump out albums one after the other, but it's quite something else to keep them of an equally consistent high standard. To be honest, the avant-garde art rock moniker that the band are labelled with, or maybe pioneered, I find it a bit misleading, but we may come at it later. They are more than this, if you'll pardon the pun. Yes, every album has their moments, like Bittersweet or A Song for Europe, but there's much more to the band's overall sound and feel than these more, I think, kind of abstract moments. They can glam rock with the best of them, and if you want some radio-friendly pop hits, yep, they've got that covered as well. I could go on.
Well, again, I see them as being Beatlesque. They can do everything, Like, are the Beatles an art rock band? They're the Beatles. Are Roxy Music an art rock band? They're Roxy Music. They can do everything. They can try any genre. Of course, they have certain strengths, and they're more art rocky than the Beatles and more experimental.
I think people love categories, and they love pigeonholing things in specific categories, and maybe that's what I'm now reminding myself of, what I don't really like about a lot of things, labeling them like, all right, this is like this, and therefore it's going to be a bit, art rockish. Right. But I think that could all be bollocks.
Well, maybe that's choosing a title like Country Life and having 2 country flavored songs and then having harmonica featured. Maybe that's their way of saying, no, you can't categorize us. We can swing, we can do the western swing, country western swing, honky tonk, harmonica. We can sing about Texas. We can do anything. We're Roxy Music. Hear us roar.
We can sing about pre-decimalization, 1950s London or whatever it might be, or Newcastle for that matter.
And the crucifixion.
Right, don't forget that. Right. Yeah, it's diverse. Let's put it that way.
All right. Well, we've had some dodgy sound here, and I wonder how this is going to come out in the wash. But
yeah.
Okay, well, hopefully Rivershite, as you've aptly named this platform, cleans all this up in post. But we'll see. Anyway, if you've got nothing further, we've managed to finish within an hour and a half. We didn't go 2 hours this time, so we're getting snappier. You people on Reddit, you should appreciate that.
You know?
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, great album, the fourth Roxy Music album called Country Life. If you haven't heard it, you definitely should. And next up will be the fifth album called Siren, which does feature Jerry Hall on the cover, but more on that later. So this has been episode 4 of the Re-Roxy podcast series on guitar and pen. I'm Mark Will. I was joined by Craig. And is there anything you want to promote or pimp?
I have something coming out soon, but we can probably go over that in the next episode. But pleasure as always, Mark.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Farewell.